All right, thank you for staying with the Monday Report, and we're still continuing this discussion. There's some sound bites that I want to play for you so that you understand what the issue is here. And this is a soundbite from Raila Amolo Odinga, the President William Samoei Ruto, and the Treasury CS John Mbadi. Listen.
Mr. Sifuna, saa ingine hapana kwa chungu sana. So, we have a firm stand. We have an arrangement with Kenya Kwanza, and we put it in black and white. And there is a 10-point agenda, which is in the memorandum that we signed. And we want that to be fully implemented.
That every time a cabinet secretary stands up, he tells you how much the Ministry of Energy has allocated to power projects in Nyanza. So the rest of us lawyers are sitting there wondering, Allah, so who is going to speak about the projects in Bungoma? Who is going to speak about the projects? Honorable Speaker, I have said on this floor that as a Senate, as a Parliament, it is the responsibility of all of us, irrespective of our political parties, to oversight the national governments and the county governments. Honorable Speaker, if there is a problem with a CS, that CS must account to Parliament as an institution, not even to their political parties or this thing monster they are calling broad-based. It doesn't exist in my view.
My brother Sifuna, please, I am a member of your party. I don't belong to any other party. I belong to ODM. If I fail, there is no way 2027 you are talking about. You will convince anyone that ODM can run a government.
Nyamori, what are the consequences of this seemingly divisive positions within the government, the broad-based government?
Yeah. Before I answer that, allow me to respond to some of the issues that my colleagues raised. And, you know, I would want to tell Prof that I told him I admire the Prof's intellect. I have done it for years. I would want that brain in government. I want him to sit in cabinet or as a PS. And you know, if previously his political position could deny him a chance to be in government, this is the time when he should get into government, not because he wants to be appointed, but because he has a national duty to develop this country. For Dr. Mbaye, with tremendous respect, this is the only gentleman who has resigned after his term ended. I mean, the government told us that his term was tied to the tenure of the cabinet secretary that ended in July 2024. Dr. Mbaye purported to have resigned in January. Okay? So it is sometimes important to be candid in some of these discussions. But then you asked me about, you know, the consequences of some of these things. My view, as I've said and I still maintain, that as a country we are evolving a very unique political system. We are evolving a unique political system that allows people from the various, you know, political formations holding different ideologies to be able to work together to build this country. And that in all this respect, we will have hardliners and we will have those who are moderates. If you listen to Right Honorable Raila Odinga, he talked like an elder. Okay, he recognized that you know, Sifuna is a party spokesman, but told him to temper a little with his vitriol and listen to others. And you see, it is through that that we can then be able to engage in a discourse that finally ensures that the country moves towards a direction that is agreed by everybody. This arrangement is very adaptable to our situation. It is very pragmatic. It is inclusive as much as possible. And so, you know, we might want to refuse to accept this, but you will agree with me that the country is between, you know, when the broad-based government came into place and right now, unlike previously, when, you know, every other day we had street demonstrations and we had press conferences condemning government and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
People can then work through institutions and let the institutions work as we unite the country and ensure that everybody feels part and parcel of this government.
Okay, Dr. Bai, let me move on to a different conversation now in terms of the resignation of the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua from UDA. He made this official today. Part of his letter, item number 5, reads that healthcare is a subtitle. It says, under this helpless regime of UDA and Kenya Kwanza, the healthcare system has collapsed. The failed healthcare system under the Shah ideology is a business venture and a few bureaucrats in Kenya Kwanza administration. Yet we had promised the people of Kenya as a party we would have delivered to them safe, affordable health care by December 2022. As a party, we had a commitment to universal health coverage, and that did not happen. UDA itself says this resignation is inconsequential because by the virtue of being impeached as the deputy president, he automatically was removed. What is the significance of a resignation now from UDA? And is this a clear revelation or just sour grapes again?
Thank you. Before I say that, Trevor, just I didn't know that seated next to me, Wakili has hiring powers. You know, he's offering jobs on the panel. I'm surprised. But number 2, I don't know why, Trevor. People have issue with Bai every day. Almost 6 months later, since I left the government. Now, there's no doubt I worked for government for those years.
Yeah.
And I left in broad daylight. Why? Because government doesn't like people leaving them. Government like arresting you, sacking you, and humiliating you in public. God was gracious to me. He gave me some wisdom. Because they announced my appointment publicly. I had to do it publicly, and that hurt them. But I'm asking, there are so many other people who can do whatever can be done. Let them go look for other people, appoint them head or deputy or something. Right? We did what we did, and we left when it was no longer tenable to do what we did. They are still hurting. I think they should leave me alone, or maybe go and apply those jobs and get them. Every time government people have a problem, and me, I'm here. Now, Trevor, you don't stay where you are tolerated. You go where you are celebrated. Now, I was ready to deliver for them. Watch this space. I'll deliver where I am going forward. Let them not continue hold me back. Let them watch whatever happened. My supporters, people who follow me, let them watch what's going to happen in this country. Because I am a son of this country. I have a responsibility to the people of Kenya. I don't live for salary. I live for what I think is good. I'm only one. Trevor, we are very much, privileged by God to be seated here, to be able to add value to this country. There are people watching us. We are here to add value. That's what I stand for. Because I don't know how many days I have to live, and I have to make sure that the days I have to live, Trevor, I do it honestly before God. Now, now, you ask a question.
Yeah. What is the significance of the resignation of the former deputy president?
Do you know why he resigned publicly again? I like the word publicly. Officially. There's something called officially. Because in a few days, he will join another party.
Correct.
Right? I have resigned from UDA myself. Recently, I have resigned. I'm waiting in a few days to join another party. He's just making it official. Like from today, for record, because of the foreign reasons, I have resigned. So he resigned because in a few days he will be joining another party, so that it is very official. Of course, he could have done that silently, just go log in on the website and leave, but he's doing that publicly. On what you have mentioned and many other reasons, I can tell you, Trevor, for example, nowhere did we say there shall be, a system. Instead of spending 700 million to upgrade NHIF, we are going to spend 104 billion. Through another private company that will siphon 2.5% of the contributions. Nowhere in the manifesto was it there. Nowhere did we say we are going to have some housing fund that's going to harass everybody else who has a mortgage, who has whatever, who is living in their mother's house or their own house. They are going to pay and then take 60 billion to treasury bills. Nowhere in the manifesto, Trevor, did we say such things. Nowhere did we say we are going to have e-citizen owned by a private company. Nowhere did we say we are going to send our police officers to Haiti and then spend money we don't have for malaria and TB to go find people who are dying there. Nowhere did we say such things. But immediately we did it in good faith. There are laws. There are laws, a one-man, a one-man syndrome government, that somebody wakes up and decides this is the route to go. And if you're not careful, you'll be run over. And a lot of terror. Nobody said that, Trevor. And those are in summary, that's what the second deputy president said.
In as much as that may be true, Prof, I mean, all these things Kenyans actually did raise concerns about from the onset.
And we have been raising concerns, Trevor, all through. And that's what I was saying, that, for me, it doesn't really matter whether somebody was part of a gang or not. What we should be listening to is whether it makes sense or not. And one of the reasons why I'm quite happy with this big chunk that left UDA is because they're confirming exactly the same fears that we confirmed right from the start. Yes, we spoke about housing here over and over and over again. I spoke to the president directly about it. It didn't make sense then, it's not making sense now. The people from inside there are saying it doesn't make sense. It was shoved down their throat. The UHC, as Dr. is saying here, a lot of these things actually didn't make sense. And it was very clear that, we were talking about a very dangerous government of deal makers who are, hell-bent on pushing agendas and ideas that would only benefit them. And one of the things that we're actually saying, and I keep saying it, that the only danger sometimes with conflating your own personal interest with national interests is that personal interest by its nature tends to be quite limited and very limiting. And that's why dictatorships collapse, because people mix the two. If you're talking about the health of all Kenyans and systems that would guarantee that, regardless of how much money you want to make out of it, your interest is nothing compared to the issues that actually need to be dealt with. And I think our colleagues who joined the broad-based government, we hope that they can be able to put some sense in those they found inside there, to tell them that, look, yes, they've been eating and they're full and they're vomiting on our shoes, as was famously said in the past. And there's nothing, they've got enough food to eat for several generations. It is time that, Kenyans would rather have an incompetent government than no government at all. Because what you're looking at here really is just a cabal of clueless individuals, who are pushing self-interest, purporting, to actually be running government. And that kafufle in ODM, I think I'm normally more amused than whatever. Truth by its nature normally is very clear and non-contradictory. And it doesn't matter who's speaking it. But lies by its nature, generates a lot of heat, more heat than light. So you put together our party leader, I don't know whether he's back as our party leader, Raila, and the cabinet secretary, and the party spokesman, and it resembles the Tower of Babel, because the truth of the matter is that they know deep within them that what they're saying is not honest. And for those of us who are outside here, we can tell that they're actually lying, through their teeth. And even though stealing, we can tell. We can tell the people who are stealing. You don't need the CID and so on to tell that fellows are actually stealing around. So really, I think we still need to get back. Like I'm saying, I've given up myself. I'm saying, okay, fine. The best we can get is an incompetent government. But currently we have no government. It's not even incompetent. It is basically a group of clueless individuals whom I don't even know what what exactly they're trying to do. Meanwhile, of course, the president removed caste and employed, I don't know whether you're one of the advisors, cabinet level advisors, and principal secretary level advisors, more than the CAS, and they're being paid higher. Okay,
so let me bring in Nyamburi on this. Nyamburi, is it fair to criticize the same government you're in? Because we're hearing a lot of revelations from what has now been christened the Wamunyoro side, but then we have not seen any substantive case being presented that we are accusing them of corruption. This is what we know, and therefore it is something that is actionable. Is it fair to criticize the same government that you are in?
I took time. I struggled for several minutes to read the 5-page resignation letter by the impeached former deputy president. And if I wondered that if the president had to survive this for 2 years, you see, the lack of clarity, the obvious grammatical and spelling mistakes, the disorganized structure of the letter. And I wondered, does this guy have a secretary, a basic secretary who has gone through a secretarial training, And if that is what we are being told, that is being launched in another few days as the leader of a political party that should be an alternative to Dr. William Ruto, then I am sorry for anybody who is going to follow that, that movement. Clearly, the former deputy president is incompetent even when you see his letter of resignation. It is not clear whether he is resigning on ideological grounds or he is resigning because he feels jilted. You know, it's a complete mess of his thought process, and he's not being candid. He's not being honest. He was, a number of the things he's raising in his letter, he was actually supporting them. Only that he wanted them to benefit, as he would say, people who had shares and not the rest of the country. What President William Ruto has done in the last several months is to create a broad-based government that ensures that everybody, including the people of the mountain, are part and parcel of governance and are able to benefit from the struggles of taxpayers when they pay taxes to fund development in this country. Yeah. So in my view, what we have seen in the resignation is sour grapes. Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to end nowhere.
Okay.
I think, Trevor, to be fair to the viewers, number one,
yeah,
a lot of people went to school and they studied different things. But a letter is meant to communicate. You asked Wakili about the content, about the issues that he listed. Right. But he went to I heard the way, you know, the formulation of the letter, whether it was paragraphed and all that. The issue is why we are reading the letter is because it's communicating. Why the letter is here with us? Everybody has a letter. He has a letter. I can see him read it. He said he went through it 5 times. Read it, you know? So he got the message. So let's concentrate on the message. Yeah. So what the second, and by the way, you know, keep on repeating impeached, all those kind of words. There is a case in court. So please, there is an appeal. And as a lawyer, you know, before he exhausts everything, you cannot continue calling him impeached so many times, because especially as a lawyer,
Dr. Mbai,
you understand.
But even that, I'm the lawyer here. I am the lawyer here, and I've started.
It was my time. It was my time. No, it was my time. It was my time. All that I'm saying. But let me say this, Trevor. The issue of the second Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, is deeper than we all think. And let's be very clear about it. Honorable Rigathi Gachagua went in as part of the team in this arrangement, being a deputy to President Ruto, right? And all what we are saying is, the moment the president felt he was not able to work and mercilessly threw him out, mercilessly, he immediately, a big portion, what I call the equation of governance, because we talk about politics, leadership, and governance. You can't talk about governance without politics, because governments are elected. So they are the result of politics, leadership, and governance. So what the president did is to simply, you know, just like destroy the equation. Now, you cannot govern in a toxic political environment. If you remember what happened during Kibaki's time and that great president we had, he was very good in economy, but there were issues that happened from after the referendum, right? Some politics was mismanaged. Let's be honest. Yeah. And you saw what happened in 2007. So what has happened now is this, is that all what was promised was hitched on the arrangement of the two people working together. So once you interfere once you bring something I call toxic political environment, nothing else can happen. I can tell you that because me, I'm an expert on delivery. 2 things. Once you kill systems, processes, structures, and number 2, once you affect the political environment, you can't deliver to people who are angry, who already you have a heart. The president was on record saying he doesn't want politics of deceit, betrayal, and conmanship. That is exactly what a big portion of people are feeling. The whole country is feeling wasted because of all the things we have mentioned, but a certain part is feeling that is hurt because it's been betrayed, you know, deceived, you know, politically conned. That is the word. And that is what we are talking about. So forget about Rigathi the person. Talk about Rigathi the second deputy president who was elected on the same ticket as the president. And that's how everything is happening. Now, the issues about what he lays and why he's lays them now, Trevor, we are saying this. The reason why they couldn't agree is because of some of these things. Because he was an advisor to the president, a principal advisor, right? And when you advise and some things are not taken into consideration, definitely that's where issues began to come up. Okay. But the only problem is, Trevor, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta really persevered. 2015, there were cracks. If you remember, in government, some ministers were sacked. But the President Uhuru Kenyatta knew that if he was going to unsettle the political equation, things are going to get high. Now, what happened with the current president? He has not been able to persevere the way he was persevered on himself, because leadership is tough. So by that, you completely mess the political equation. So the issue of letters and all that, I don't know why, again, if somebody can take time to read 5 times this letter, it must be a very important letter. 5 times. Difficult to understand.
Is this significant, the resignation of the former deputy president?
Well, I think personally, I'm not a great admirer of the former deputy president for totally different reasons. But when it comes to his resignation letter, I think that is the correct thing that should have been done anyway. Part of the frustration we had with our current president was that he never left Jubilee, and he was campaigning on a totally different ticket. So he stayed on as deputy president in a government that he didn't believe in, purporting to be a member of a party that he was not, part of, and so on. And, well, of course, people can call it real politics, but I just consider it unhygienic politics of deceit. We know for a fact, anyway, that if Rigathi was to join any other party, the same fellows who are saying that his letter is inconsequential would have said that he was still a member of UDA anyway. So it's common sense. It is actually common sense that if I want to join another party, I resign from the previous party. My spelling, my handwriting, my grammar notwithstanding. I've left, and I've left formally. That is one. The second thing is that Rigathi Gachagua is a politician anyway. So to expect that Rigathi Gachagua would then, send his letter the way a civil servant would, in a quiet way, without the noise and the razzmatazz that accompanies political, missions, I think is just naive. So as far as I'm concerned, Gachagua has done the right thing, and I think he should continue doing the right thing, because in this situation we are talking about, where the people who are expecting to hold government to account are inside, we need others to hold government to account. So whether it is Gen Zs, Rigathi Gachagua, Professor Menya here, that team is needed. We are really needed, because otherwise, with the death of all these institutions that we have around, we'll actually have a situation that's worse than official dictatorship or autocracy.
Gentlemen, we're running out of time here, but there's just, I want to see some feedback coming through, and then we talk about Kalonzo. Just one moment, let's give you one moment each to react to the IEBC that is now heading for vetting to JLAC. But let's bring up what you're saying online. See what you're saying at Trevor Mbidi at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Monday Report. And we say Motari Elvis says, just because a government is broad-based, it doesn't mean it's inclusive. Let's put it up here, and then so that we see the complete set of words as we put that up. There's also another conversation here from Fred Obachi Machoka, who says, hello, Trevor. When people allege that they resigned while government says they already were jobless, and others allege they're in government while their colleagues say they are not, swali ni hili. Does the government issue appointment letters to her employees, ama ni kujiajiri tu kwa TV? That is Fred Obachi Machoka. Now Motari says, just because a government is broad-based doesn't mean it's inclusive. Too often it's just elite deal-making that kills real oversight. Inclusion isn't about seats at the table. It's about accountability. Leonard Masika says, it's quite unfortunate that we have a government that is doing nothing in the country. Honorable Raila wouldn't have joined this government. The only thing he has done is to sanitize it. He hasn't tainted his reputation. May 2027 come even faster. Kennedy says, Trevor, Azimio is the opposition, not ODM. ODM is just a party that comes together to form Azimio. Let's see what else you're saying here. Tiani says, as President Kibaki famously said, you cannot suddenly become very clever. Dr. Mbai and the Wamunyoro camp are just engaging in early politics and theatrical sideshows to evoke emotions in the country. For your information, SHA is now functional. Okay. Sankale says, if you want to know how politicians play with us, just look at ODM. They're eating while complaining. Same for Gachagua. When he was in government, he was silent. Now he's shouting like a madman. Same to Muturi. Kenyans, we should rethink on who we elect to represent us. Okay? All right. Is that the last one? Yes. Let's play the soundbite from Kalonzo Musyoka and hear what he had to say in regards to the selection of the IEBC and whether the opposition have a concern that is legitimate in regards to the selection of the chairperson of the IEBC, commission members that is now heading to JLAC for vetting. And even as we wait for that, Nyamori, does the opposition have a genuine concern? Just listen to what he had to say first of all, Kalonzo Musyoka.
So kwa hivyo hiyo IEBC maneno, we are still insisting on not only inclusivity but consultation and concurrence, and it must be independent. It must be independent. What we have right now in the nominees is a William Ruto IEBC. Na wananchi hawatakubali hiyo.
His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka wrote to your letter. He wrote to your partner in the broad-based government, Raila Odinga, and asked that you respect and adhere to the principle of concurrence and consultation with the opposition, as was agreed at Bomas. You have nonetheless gone ahead to unilaterally pick the IEBC team without any consultation with the opposition. Because Raila Odinga and ODM are in government. They are not in the opposition. We are the opposition.
Nyamori, is this something that can be achieved, consultation and concurrence in the current context?
When I listen to Kalonzo Musyoka, I wonder whether he sat at Bomas and co-chaired the NADCO process. Because I have taken time to read the NADCO report. And then you see the recommendation that the NADCO report made with regard to IEBC. And then I have noted that all the recommendations made in the NADCO report with regard to IEBC were then codified into law in what we call the IEBC Amendment Bill 2024. Okay, and this is what then formed what was called the Select Committee, the IEBC Select Committee, and give it its mandate, and then defined the process that should be used to select, nominate, and finally approve the names. And in that process, just as it was in the NADCO report, and it was in the law, and has been done, it was that, one, the inclusion should first and foremost be established at the point of formation of the Select Committee. Yeah. And you remember there was a dispute about that. And the dispute that we had is Kalonzo and his coalition colleagues had a dispute on who was going to represent the coalition. Kalonzo insisted that it was his nominee, Kokimuli, who had to represent the coalition. And finally, that is what was settled. Kokimuli sat there to represent Kalonzo Musyoka. And there was, apart from the various political parties in parliament, and even the non-parliamentary political parties, we also had the LSK, we had the ISPAC, and then other bodies that made the platform as inclusive as possible. Yeah. This Select Committee then invited application, vetted, interviewed the candidates, shortlisted, and finally nominated in accordance with the law. Nominated 2 candidates for the position of the chairmanship and 9 candidates for the position of the commission members to the president. As the law required, the president then chose one of the 2 as a nominee for chairmanship, and 6 out of the 9 as commissioners, and within 7 days, as was provided in the law, then sent this list to parliament. The role of parliament is then to vet and finally approve. The speaker has spoken and mentioned that he has, transferred that list to the relevant committee, the jailer committee,
yes.
to then go through the process.
Yeah.
And that process includes public participation. And the Speaker has told anybody who may question any one of the names to then send in memoranda. Okay? And so Kalonzo is not being honest, he's not being candid. He participated in the process. He actually created the narco structure that then was reduced into law. And so for me, the question then is, do we have a credible group nominated to Parliament? We will listen to Parliament tell us what that is in a few days.
Trevor, very fast. One, I want to thank very profusely the loyal opposition members of the National Assembly, members of Senate, who have continued under the very difficult circumstances to continue being opposition in Parliament. Number two, Obachi, thank you so much. We take your concerns very seriously. Please talk to the people who are dishing out employment letters like where we are seated. But number two, for me, I want to say this. People should not have hangovers. I don't want to be kept asking issues about government. I left. I want to be known for what I'm going to deliver next, because I like wherever I am, I do what I must do, and results be seen from what I'm doing. Number three, somebody spoke about that what we are doing is theatrics. I want to say this. In the coming very soon and very soon, we are going to start the journey. The party will be announced by the party leader, and you are going to see a rollout of very many activities. And for information, Trevor, Face of Kenya is going to be a serious national party. And from there, that's why people are shaking. You know, the people are saying, oh, the heretics. They are already shaking too early. Let them wait for a few hours, and things are going to be seen to be done. But number three about IEBC. Trevor, I wrote, because sometimes we talk about when you see things happen, you talk over tea, over Uji, in places, you talk in the streets and markets. What I did, I wrote a letter to the selection panel before. Issue of addendum. Because I said, this issue of addendum, 99%, an addendum is where a phone call comes at night. When you have done, you have vetted, everything is happening, interviews are happening. Addendum is a phone call. Most likely, it's not a genuine addendum that you sat and some members were revealed that there's a problem. So I wrote to the panel, I said, this addendum has a problem, and for sure, for true. Addendum was, the 6 names were escorting one Hassan Nul Hassan, who was a governor in Mandera on ODM and a broad-based, right? Which is now broad-based. He's the one who has been escorted. He's now a commissioner. Let me tell you, Trevor. Let's talk purely on something called leadership and governance. Purely is a principle. The moment you talk about free, fair, verifiable, all those nice words they say about elections, if they cannot be seen here, in the formation of IEBC, questions begin being asked. So if you can be called at night to come and add an addendum, then automatically the escortee comes out as Hassan Nul Hassan, as a commissioner. Whatever else you tell us, we look at it suspiciously. That is a fact of law. Number two, Trevor, we will avoid getting into a trap. The trap is we get disoriented by this list. We go to court. We stop the process. Then August comes and September, IEBC is not in place. Then the president will come and say, like he said last time, it's not me, it is you guys who went to court. So what you do, we'll go and maximize on the power of people and the power of God. We'll get the votes. We'll make sure the will of the people 2027 will be respected.
So you'll not go to court. Okay. Prof. Very briefly, we've run out of time. Yes.
And I think...
just want your views on the IEBC. Can we ever really have a credible IEBC that we all agree on?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, as a keen observer of this from outside, Wakili here has a point, and the former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka also does have a point. We know that we have a process, a legal process. And you can follow the legal process in a very simplistic way. Those things happen, where you actually plant the people you want, and you ensure they go through the motions, and they come out on the other side. The political process is actually just bringing confidence in the whole arrangement. It is not that it is required legally that you consult, that you do 1, 2, 3, 4 things and so on. Of course, sometimes the two converge. In fact, the reason why we even had this IEBC amendment bill was because basically Azimio sat and said, we're not taking part in this. We need to actually have a deal, and then that was then, cleansed legally, through the Amendment Act. Yes, I don't think we can dismiss Kalonzo's concerns wholesale, and I think it also be naive, if not stupid, to imagine that the president of the country, as Willie, as we know him to be, had no hand at all, in this selection process. I think it would be politically naive, if not stupid. Okay. So this is why those are the people are crying. They're saying, yes, we know his hand is there, but the process has ticked all the boxes. Okay. Yeah. So I think we need to listen to those, because eventually, when these election results are going to be rejected, they're not, and these IBC will be rejected. They'll not be rejected because of the legal process. They'll be rejected politically. Okay. Yes. All right. Someone will come in and...
leave it there. We've run out of time. Just 1 second. Yes.
Yeah. The point I want to buttress is that a political process must then be codified in law. And that is exactly what happened to create NADCO and then create the IEBC amendment bill. Okay. And so the professor should not expect us to continue with the political process, disregard what the law is. I mean, the law had to be changed.
All right.
I'm not saying disregard.
It's important.
You can't ignore the political process.
Sometimes it's not very nice. Yes. When somebody speaks, part of the system, says, don't worry. You come
Okay. That's a whole new conversation. Thank you so much for making time. Dr. Bai, thank you, and Professor Alfred Omenya, asante sana. Have a good night. Thank you so much for staying in the Monday Report. Bye for now.